Welcome back, America. We have Newt Gingrich, really a great man, a very wise man. Newt Gingrich, what would you say to the people who still say that our military operation, our economic operation, call it what you will, against Iran was a mistake, it was a choice? What do you say to those people now looking back maybe 2 months or so?
Well, first of all, I'd go back and quote Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who, dealing with a very skeptical public in September of 1941, gave an address and said, look, if you're standing next to a rattlesnake, you don't have to let it bite you before you decide it's dangerous. And he, of course, was talking about Nazi Germany. The Iranian dictatorship, which is a religious dictatorship, has for 47 years been chanting death to America. Literally, 47 years they've been chanting death to America. The military leadership, the IRGC, has been chanting death to America. They have been trying desperately to get nuclear weapons, and they've been working to get missiles that could deliver nuclear weapons to the United States. So in the Roosevelt tradition, I would say to skeptics, do you really have to lose Chicago or Boston or Seattle to decide these people are dangerous? Every day that the Iranian religious dictatorship is in power, it is a threat to the world. And if you think that somehow they're nice people, they've killed 42,000 Iranians this year. They've killed vastly more Iranians than the United States and Israel combined, vastly more. But nobody seems to want to condemn a religious dictatorship filled with hatred, which has, in its own mind, been waging war and killing Marines in Lebanon, for example. These people have been against us. That was in 1983. So this war has been going on a long time. Trump's the first president to have the courage to say, you know, we need to break the regime. And that's what he's trying to do. Not necessarily, he wouldn't call it regime change, but if he can get them to give up nuclear weapons, he can get them to give up their ballistic missiles, he can get them to agree to quit subsidizing terrorism, he will, in fact, functionally have broken the regime. That is humanity's work. This is an evil dictatorship. It is fully as evil as Adolf Hitler was or Joseph Stalin was, and we need to be honest about it. And frankly, Mark, I think this is a good debate. The country has to make a decision. Do you want to live in a fantasy land until the nuclear weapon goes off in your neighborhood? Or do you want to be realistic and honest and take the steps necessary to protect America?
You make good points, Newt. I don't mind the debate. I mind efforts to sabotage and obstruct what the president's doing with phony War Powers Act arguments, and now they want to impeach the Secretary of War in the middle of this military operation. They're talking about impeaching the president come November. Well, let me ask you this. You're a historian, but you're also a philosopher in many respects. I feel like half the country has the will to survive. I mean, this is what we're talking about. This regime gets nuclear weapons. It's an issue of survival. If you don't believe they're going to use them, then I think that's fantasy land. And yet maybe the other half or a third believes, no, that's okay, as they push their Marxist agenda, their Islamist agenda, their big government agenda, and all the rest. And they seem to say, no, that's a far-off war. That's not a problem. The isolationists say the same thing, by the way. What do you make of that? Are you concerned, here we are, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, that there's a growing part of our population, particularly younger perhaps, that does not have the will to do or to believe in what has to be believed in and done? Now, it's a long question. I want to go to the next segment and give you an opportunity to answer that. So we'll be right back.
When you're concerned about your heart, a 6-lead EKG is better than one. Can your smartwatch do that? Meet KardiaMobile 6L Max, the personal EKG that provides a more complete view of your heart than any smartwatch. Cardia Mobile 6L Max detects 6 of the most common arrhythmias, including atrial fibrillation, a leading cause of stroke. Get answers about your heart in seconds with Cardia Mobile 6L Max. Available at cardia.com or Amazon.
Men, how many bathroom trips are you making each day? Try Super Beta Prostate Advanced, the #1 selling formula in its category. Made with Prostafend, a triple action blend to help reduce urges to urinate. Find it at Walmart or these retailers.
Want the fastest working GLP-1 for half the price? Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, so you can see weight loss results faster. Lose 20% of your weight with a formula that hits not 1, but 2 hormones for less hunger and faster results. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
One of these has chlorine, microplastics, and forever chemicals in it, and one is Aquasana filtered. With our Aquasana water filter, every glass is cleaner and healthier. Wait, which one? Visit aquasana.com today.
Growing up in a small town taught me it's not about how many products you have, but whether they truly work. That's why we created Kitsch, to offer hair care solutions that work as hard as you do. Our first product was a simple hair tie, and now we have products like our Rice Water Protein shampoo and conditioner bars. They're packed with amino acids, vitamins, and proteins to encourage growth and add shine. At Kitsch, we're here to be your best friend in beauty, so you can be the hero of your day. Find out more at mykitsch.com.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags are actually made overseas.
If there's one thing that deserves to be made here in America, it should start with the American flag.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America, by Americans, with American materials.
Join our pledge to make the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
This is a bottlenose dolphin, and this is the breakthrough nutrient doctors discovered that helped dolphins age healthier. Now, over 100 peer-reviewed studies later, it can help you age healthier too. Discover how at fatty15.com.
When you're young, you don't just get handed trust. You have to earn it by hand. You listen and ask questions and see the way things have always been, but like never before. You realize time doesn't make something timeless. Standards do. Because if you want your name to last forever, you have to build your legacy one step at a time.
At TrueWork, innovative fabrics and intentional design define work pants for every condition. T1 for hot days, T2 for all seasons, T3 for the cold. Find yours at truework.com. TrueWork, built like it matters.
Welcome to Fox News Live. I'm Molly Line in New York. President Trump is calling Iran's latest proposal to end the, quote, totally unacceptable as the two sides struggle to agree on a long-term deal. Iranian state television says that Tehran rejected the U.S. proposal, amounting it to surrender. They insisted instead on war reparations by the U.S., full Iranian sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, and an end to sanctions. Mr. Trump has drawn a hard line on the Iranian nuclear program. He has threatened to resume bombing if Iran doesn't roll back its nuclear program and reopen the strait. Iran's military is warning that countries enforcing sanctions against Tehran will face issues when their ships use the Strait of Hormuz. Several attacks against ships in the Persian Gulf have occurred over the last week, and a U.S. effort to guide ships through the strait were quickly paused. I'm Molly Line. Now back to Life, Liberty, and Levin.
Welcome back, America. To keep it tight so you can give me a good answer here, Newt. The will to survive, many of us have the will to survive as a nation and so forth, but there seems to be a growing element in our country that does not. What do you make of that, or do you disagree?
No, I think that's right. And remember, in 1931, the Oxford Union voted overwhelmingly that they would not fight for king and country. 8 years later, those very people joined the Royal Air Force and fought the Battle of Britain, because when they got down to reality, they in fact didn't mean their vote. There are two groups here. One is people for whom any real danger is so unusual. They've lived in such a safe country that they can't quite imagine that you really have to worry. The other group, which is, I think, more dangerous, are genuine people like Mamdani, AOC, who really are anti-American. They don't want to fight for the United States because they don't think the United States is a legitimate country. When Mamdani, on meeting King Charles, says, "Will you give this diamond back to India?" Which, by the way, is first of all, the British people's, not the king's. But second, the diamond had been occupied by many different people. But it reflected that kind of left-wing, the West is bad, America is bad, imperialism is bad. Those people don't want the America that you and I believe in to survive. And they're not prepared to fight for us to survive. And I just think we have to realize these people are, for all practical purposes, anti-American in the context of what you and I would mean by America.
Let me follow up on that, because these people are deadly serious about taking over the country. They hope to win the presidency next round. They hope to win the midterm elections. Maybe they think they can maybe take the Senate. Who knows? But the point is this. They're not even debating anymore policy issues. They're debating the fundamental construct and structure of our constitutional republic, which they want to alter. The Electoral College, the Supreme Court, the power of the presidency, and so forth and so on. And if they get that power, it's much more difficult to unravel what these people are doing than what these people are doing. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, power is at the heart of this. Power is why Chicago can decay, New York City can decay, Baltimore City can decay, Los Angeles can decay, because the people who have the power want to impose a world that doesn't work, and then they want to keep power even when it doesn't work, and they use teachers' unions and other machinery to do that. So you have to understand, a lot of this is about pure power. Do they have the ability to take your tax money and give it to their allies and their enemies? I think it's very dangerous, and I think, in a sense, we're having the same argument that Lincoln had, and this is why Lincoln is so important to study and to understand. Lincoln was having to make the argument that the Union was worth saving. Our most bitter war, our greatest casualties were the Civil War. And he had to sustain the North through 4 years of warfare, with every village and every town losing people in combat. And yet, in the end, they concluded that freedom was worth the price. Washington had the same experience. He spends 8 years in the field as a general, knowing that he's taking on the largest empire in the world. People like Thomas Paine, in writing Common Sense, and then even more importantly, writing The Crisis, have to explain to the average person, why is this worth it? Why are we going through this sacrifice? Why do we have to do that? So in a sense, maybe, we're looking for our generation's Lincoln and our generation's Thomas Paine to remind us that on our 250th anniversary, as the base of freedom endowed by our Creator, this is, by God, worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for at home, and it's worth fighting for overseas.
Now, that's very, very well said. All right, Newt, I want to thank you very, very much, and God bless you, my friend. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
We'll be right back.